It begins when I was 11 years old, and I just finished junior school and was waiting to start my first year at senior school. And I was one of the youngest in my year, so I wasn't even, or was it? No, it might have even been I'd done my first year at senior school, but I was 11 or 12 years old. And it started off just by chance meeting. I was playing on our school rugby pitch. I was having grass fights with some friends, and unbeknown to me, a young lad who I became friends with at school, he was already working for a guy called William Goad. Apparently this guy was a multi-millionaire, owned a lot of the first pound shops when they came out in the 80s, early 80s, and he had lots of young boys working for him at that time. And I basically saw a black sports car parked across the road from the field, and there was two people looking at me and pointing over, and one of them was going like this, and it turned out it was my friend from school. So I was in awe of the car more than anything. I thought, oh my god, who's driving that? He must be a millionaire or something. Like, no, it looked like the old kit car,
Knight Rider.
Knight Rider, that's right. It looked like that car, so I hurriedly ran across the road, and he said hi, blah blah blah, and I said, whose car is this? He said, oh, this is my boss Bill, it's his car. I'm working for him and he's just going to drop me home, like, after we finish work. So we got chatting, and Bill said he'd been watching me play grass fights and that, and I was quite athletic and young and fit, and he was looking for boys to help out in his warehouse, unload lorries, and would I be interested in doing it? I was a bit gobsmacked at first. I was like, wow, he's asking me for a job, like, for a millionaire. I was quite in awe of it, and I accepted. He said he would have to come down and see my parents, because obviously my age at the time, I think it was 13 before you were allowed to work, back in the 80s, something like that then. So he had to have permission, specific permission from my parents for me to be able to do that. So I ran home excited and told my parents what had just happened, and they was like, oh wow, yeah, we'll look forward to him coming round. And he came round the next day, or he might have been phoned up first and arranged to come round, I don't know. But I remember him coming in the front room that day, and he was a very he had the gift of the gab. He was very friendly, very confident, and he came in cracking jokes and sat with mum and dad and shook the hands and stuff, introduced himself and explained that he was a millionaire and he had this business in Plymouth called Barbican Discounts, and that obviously would Paul be able to come and work for me, like, one of his friends is working for me, and his friend said that he was quite fit, like cross country at school and that. He said that's just the type of young lad we could do with unloading the lorries and that. So mum and dad agreed and said yes, of course he can, like, so it started from there, really, the story.
Wow. And what was your upbringing like with your parents?
My dad was in the military, Royal Air Force. He was based at Mountbatten in Plymouth, which is a big RAF base, and he was a coxswain in the RAF, nothing to do with aircraft. He was a coxswain on the MOD launches.
Which means what?
It is basically one of the senior officers on board a ship. It was a small MOD patrol launch, and he was a coxswain on there and patrolling all the waters in and around the Plymouth area, protecting them, just normal patrols. Same type of boat as Lord Mountbatten got blown up in. My dad, coxswain, one of them. But he was a very, very strict man, my father was. And when I say strict, I mean strict. If he said jump, you said how high. One of those types of people, really. As I grew older, so when I say older, I started getting to about the age of 7 or 8. I had a really bad experience of something, and my behaviour started becoming affected. Started going downhill a bit. So,
what was the experience?
A guy attempted to rape me.
Oh, this is prior to this other person?
Prior to Gold and everyone, yeah. There's other men.
What was the situation there? How did that come about?
I was about 6 years old, and he he was the son of. We lived on a corporation housing estate, and men were employed as maintenance team to do all the works on those properties. And this guy who attempted to do this to me, his father was high up within that corporation, Sutton Trust Housing Estate it was called actually, and just outside their house, their back garden backed onto a park with a five-a-side football pitch and stuff. So we regularly, mess around down there. It's only around across the road from me. In those days, kids were allowed to go out and play in that with, in relative safety compared to what it is nowadays. Anyway, one particular day, it was we were playing in the park, playing football and stuff, and this guy, I was thirsty, and he said, "I'll come in my house, I'll get you a drink." And he basically held me down on the bed and tried to force anal sex on me. I didn't know what it was at the time or what he was doing.
How did you manage to get out of that situation?
I just struggled free, broke free from him and ran out the door. I never ever told a soul. I was so freaked out by it.
You never ever told a soul?
No.
I was going to say, I didn't read that in your book.
No, it's not in there yet.
Oh.
There's sections I haven't read yet called The Others.
How many others?
Lots.
And these were before the...
Yeah. There's another incident. I was collecting conkers from a local woods, and a gang of older lads came down. I was there with 3 or 4 friends. I was just before I started senior school. We're collecting conkers. Next thing you know, we heard loads of shouting and screaming, and loads of lads came running down around us and surrounded us, beat up a couple of my friends. They ran off, escaped, and they left 2 of us there, me and another one of my friends. So they gave us a few slaps, ripped our clothes off us, covered us in dog shit, tied me naked on top of him so as to simulate having sex with him with electric cable and wire they found. And they threw it up over the bough of a branch and hoisted us up, tied us off and left us there dangling in the midair.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It wasn't for an old lady walking her German Shepherd. We was only up there for about a minute or so, maybe 2 minutes, before she came round the corner while they were all laughing at us and throwing shit at us, dog shit on sticks and stuff. And she screamed at them, "What the fuck's going on?" and that, and they all ran off. But lucky enough, one of them, I remember he had a really croaky voice, like there was something wrong with his throat, like his voice box. And that's what led to his eventual capture and the capture of the rest of them.
Wow. And did they get charged?
Yeah. I don't know what happened to him, I can't remember now, but I was still quite young.
Because you were so young then, did you not have to go court or anything?
No.
And there was more than that before the other one, the main one in the book?
I joined Sea Cadets. My dad helped me try and keep me out of trouble. And I had to walk from St Buda where I lived, and it was about a 2-mile walk to Drake Barracks, which is where the training was taking place and that. And I'd gone there on Saturdays. They had an indoor swimming pool in the barracks, which anybody in Sea Cadets could use free of charge. I had my own pass to get in the main gate and that. So I'd go swimming there every Saturday morning. On Saturday morning after I'd been swimming, you had to cross an old Victorian railway bridge to get there, and it had like a walkway hanging off the side of the bridge, metal bars, railings and that, and wooden planks. And I remember they had big, it was like like the Brunel Bridge, going across the Thames. It looks very similar to that, big arch steel beams and everything, and steel towers. As I was halfway across the bridge, 2 lads about, I suppose they were 3 or 4 years older than me maybe, popped their head over the top of the fence and said, "Oh, come over here, look what we found. There's a den here, like you can climb inside the towers." I said, "Yeah, really?" I jumped over, being the mischievous 11-year-old I was and that, always up for finding dens and stuff. And basically forced me to have oral sex with them.
Oh my God, how old are you at this point?
I was 10, 11 years old. Just before I started senior school. Yeah.
I mean, could you even comprehend what was happening at that point? Did you understand, or was it something that just felt uncomfortable? I
visited many years later and made statements about it. When on the second statement I made to the police, where I told them about Gold and the full extent of what he did in that. So I made new statements as part of that and told them about the others, and that was all investigated later on in the book, and the outcomes and stuff like that, which I'll write about in the book and that.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I'm a bit speechless right now.
It's alright.
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely shocking. And so you went through all this prior to gold.
Yeah.
Did you not see gold as a warning? No.
No.
You just trusted him.
So
I was totally in awe of him.
Yeah.
Obviously, my friend was already working for him, and I'd noticed how my friend was having new clothes all the time and looked fit and healthy and was happy, and I want a bit of that. We came we weren't poor, but we struggled like hell. Clothes were a lot of time hand-me-downs.
So what job did he assign you to in the beginning?
I was probably working 2 or 3 evenings a week. The lorries would come in at unusual times because of the obviously reasons. Go with our shops all over the country, these discount stores, and the warehouse in Plymouth was the distribution centre for all those shops. Buyers would come down from all over the country, go into the display stock room where all the different lines of stock were, and they'd say, right, I want 10 boxes of that, 10 boxes of that, 5 boxes of this. Then we would load the lorries up, and the lorry driver would take it off and deliver to that particular store or market or whatever it was going to.
So did you feel part of the team at that point? There was no warning signs?
No. When the first day I started work there, Bill came and picked me up from home. I went round to the warehouse, and there must have been 7 or 8 boys, my age and maybe a couple of years older, some of them, who were all working for him already. They were all told to come in and meet me and shook hands and everything, and a good bunch of lads. And I got on really well with them. We hit off just felt really comfortable there. Felt like I was part of something.
And how long did that go on for?
Went on for about a month to 6 weeks of earning some good money evenings. Christ, I had to work a full week on a paper round to earn £5 or £6 then. So 3 times a week earning £20 unloading the lorry for 3 or 4 hours. I was earning 60 quid a week.
For an 11-year-old, that's quite a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of money back then.
What did you spend it on?
Start off with, I started getting clothes and stuff because I got a brother older, 18 months than me, and he was working hard at that age as well, doing 2 paper rounds, 1 in the morning and 2 in the evenings and stuff, and lots of other things. It's like he was going to be an entrepreneur when he was older, one of those types of guys. And sorry, what was the question again?
What were you spending your money on?
Yeah, so the gold was connected to all the markets, the open air markets and that, so the clothes stores and things like that, all the latest fashions and that. So I'd go and buy myself new trainers and shoes and new jeans and t-shirts and tops and coats and sports stuff like all the other kids I knew had.
Back when I was younger, it was really, you wanted to be in the best gear, and
That's right, yeah.
It meant something.
And back then all the Shark was in and Lacoste and that for the first time. And
oh, I remember this. What year was
Benetton
that?
And all that.
The 80s?
Colours
Yeah, the 80s, yeah.
So how old are you?
I'm 53.
So we're the same age then, almost.
Yeah.
So I completely understand that era. And so he settled you in then, basically.
Yeah.
You're getting all this sportswear that's fashionable and thinking this is great.
Yeah.
And then what happened next?
Me and Bill developed a really close relationship over the coming weeks after that period of time. And then I'd been working in one of the stores in the city centre. I think he had about 3 at the time in Plymouth city centre. And I'd gotten a message that I had to go, because Bill would drop me home every evening that I'd finished, go to the warehouse to meet Bill to get dropped home. So I turned up, banged on the door, and after a couple of minutes of banging, I thought no one was there to begin with. Bill opened the door, looked up and down the street and asked me in. So he took me into the stock room, and there was 2 chairs, just like we're opposite each other now. And he asked me to sit down and said he needed to speak to me about something. And he'd bought Kentucky, so we sat there eating our food. And at this point, I wasn't worried about anything. I hadn't picked up on anything, or there was something unusual about to happen or anything. Anyway, we were laughing and joking. Bill was cracking jokes, and then he said, do you like take your girlfriends around to meet your dad, do you? I was like, sometimes, yeah, you know. I said, to be honest with you, I haven't really had girlfriends like that, you know. I'm only 11 years old. Just crushes, if anything. And he said, what, so you've never touched a girl or anything? And I was like, no, I haven't. I haven't done anything, you know. By now I was feeling a bit embarrassed. And my spidey senses telling me, why does he keep asking me these questions?
If you're enjoying the podcast, please support our sponsor, NordVPN. As many of you know, years ago, I clicked on a link in an email. It was a phishing scam and I lost my channel. And it took weeks to get it back. But you can be fully protected from phishing by NordVPN. In fact, loads of people are asking where can they watch my Sons of Ecstasy documentary. It's not available in the UK. Let's see, United States. There we go. Connecting to the United States. So Nord is the fastest VPN on the planet. So the scammers have got good at creating fake shops online. They take your money, psh, they are gone. But with Nord's Threat Protection Pro, you are protected. Threat Protection Pro is blocking hundreds of millions of scam hits per year. Sometimes pop-up ads containing malware are a nightmare. You're trying to close them, then boop, you go right through. Threat Protection Pro removes these dangerous files from your device. You hear about all of these huge companies getting hacked. Well, if your data is on the dark web, NordVPN's Dark Web Monitor alerts you. You can get an exclusive NordVPN deal plus 4 months extra. Link in description box on YouTube. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Link on the screen, nordvpn.com/Attwood, A-T-T-Wood. Link in description box if you're watching on YouTube. Thanks for supporting our sponsor. Back to the podcast.
And then he asked me about sexuality, whether I'd done, experimented in any way, shape or form with men or anything like that, or boys or anything. And I said, I'm not fucking. Just that's how it was looked on back then. It's not my opinion now. Right? Sorry, not my opinion now.
I'll just keep it closer.
Yeah,
because the traffic.
And the subject got on to things that homosexuals do during sex and that. And he said, as you get older and that, he said, you'll realise that when you're older and you're having sex with a female, that they'll suck your penis. And I just didn't know where he was getting to. I was confused. Thought, what the hell was going on here? And he said, so much so, like he said, imagine this, Paul, if you were in a dark room, you're at a party and a girl had taken you into a room and it was a dark room and she started playing with your penis and sucking it. How would you know whether that was a man or a woman doing it? And I'm like, what the fuck are you on about? Why are you asking me this? And he said, well, just answer the question. Would you be able to tell the difference without touching that person if it was a man or a woman that was sucking you off? I said, well, I don't know. I've never even had that done to me before, so stop asking me questions like this. Anyway, he changed the subject then. He started talking about all the other boys. What did I think of them? How was I getting on with them? I said, yeah, brilliant. I love them all. They're brilliant. Like, they've really been kind and that in my first few weeks and that. Helped me learn me the ropes and everything. I'm really happy. And things changed then. He basically told me about how nicely dressed they were and all that, they were earning good money and everything, and how they had girlfriends and they had nice good looking girlfriends, and when these girls see you with your nice clothes and everything, they're all going to be chasing you as well. I was like, yeah, that'd be nice, and he said, but those boys are earning good money because they're doing extras. And they didn't cotton then. And I said, what do you mean extras? He said, well, if I said to you, you wouldn't have to work unloading my lorries. If you was to give me a wank, I'll give you 50 quid. How would you feel about that? and I started crying. I realised what was going on, and I panicked. I jumped up, I ran to the front doors, but it was locked, and there's bars on all the windows. I had no way of getting out of there. First time I was terrified. I didn't know what to think. He came, grabbed me by the hand, yanked me back into the room, sat me down again, told me to calm down, everything was going to be alright. He wouldn't hurt me. He said, if you do this for me, he said, I promise you. He said, no one will know about it, it'll be between me and you. He said, you won't want for money, you won't want for clothes, you won't want for anything. He said, it'll be our secret. And I refused, and I sat there for what seemed like hours and hours and hours. And in the end, I just gave in. I gave him a wank. He ejaculated all over me, and I cleaned myself up, and he dropped me home. And I don't want to go back after that. But then he phoned up Mum and Dad. Says the lorry needs to be unloaded. I can't get in to pick the ball up. Can you drop him in, please? Get my dad to drop me out there. And then he did it again. And then he did it again. And he did it again. And again and again. Sometimes 3 times a week. Lucky of all, it was just one. And it developed from wanking him off to oral sex and him ejaculating in my mouth. Well, I mean, I lost count of the amount of times I vomited in the first few months. Sometimes it kind of put him off, like, you know, and I used to hope that I vomited. And it developed from there into crossing my legs over tight and him smothering me in baby lotion and simulating sex between my legs.
Oh, should we get some tissue?
Yes, please.
Yes, I'll do that. We haven't got any over there, have we?
Simulated sex between my legs, from laying on top of me or me face down on the floor and him doing it from behind. And what's been one of the major problems for me is was overweight, a bit Bill, and obviously I was really small. So each time we did it, felt like I was suffocating each time because of the weight on me, and I couldn't breathe properly. And I thought I was going to die each time. And even the psychological effects of, I mean, that's a good way of describing it, actually. It's psychological warfare, what he committed against us, besides the physical stuff and all that. Later on in life, when I had children, I wasn't able to change their nappies. I wasn't able to bath them because of the flashbacks. It used to break me not being able to do that. I just wanted to be a normal dad like everybody else. And I couldn't do it. And just that barrier in the way all the time. Yeah, and that went on for quite some time, many times a week. As the years went on, they got less and less, obviously, because what he was making me do then.
And there came a point where he tried to get after your brother.
Yeah, he talked about it all the time. He wanted to get my brother a job there and that. I wouldn't have it. There was no way on this earth. No way on this earth. A lot of stuff I was made to do, I had to sacrifice others for my brother.
You spoke in your book about him taking you on trips away.
Yeah.
How frequent were they?
Quite often. Like I say, he had stores all over the place, or he'd be opening up a new store. So he'd take 3 or 4 lads of him, go up to this store, and we'd spend 2 or 3 days up there, all the new stock coming in, flashing, putting all the shelving up, flashing it all up, and pretty much getting it all ready for opening, and just handing it over to the new staff then so they could do all the pricing and everything the day before it opened. Or we'd be going to a warehouse to buy stock, staying in whatever city overnight, and then coming back the next day.
Were your parents noticing a change in your behaviour?
Yeah.
How did that manifest?
It first manifested my behaviour at home and school. I went off the wall. I just had a total disregard for any authority, especially men. Teachers, if we had a teacher here now from school, I tell you what a little bastard I was, and I was totally out of control.
But for your understandable reasons.
Yeah, I was just hitting back at the world. Absolutely.
So, Bill will say he got involved heavily with your dad, didn't he?
Yeah, they became good friends, and where I was getting in so much trouble, Dad had started up a scout group in the hope that it would keep me occupied evenings and weekends and that, and give me something constructive to do. And it did. It was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. I love connecting with the outdoors, going camping and, like survival weekends, and learning how to build fires and cook things on it. And we even got taught how to trap rabbits, snare them, and gut and skin the rabbits, and soak them overnight in salt water and that, and how to cook them and everything. It was brilliant. And then Dad got made redundant from the dockyard, and he was really struggling for money for the household to just run the house and feed us and clothe us and stuff like that. So he went on a photography course and got a photography qualification, and was attempting to set up a photography business. As far as I know, William Gold lent my father money to set up that business, and I only found that out later on when I was going through the shed in the back garden. My dad had turned it into an office, and I found some bookkeeping stuff which I handed over to the police investigation later on, which confirmed it.
I just want to say to the viewers as well, this is a case that's all verified, and one of the police that's involved in it, she's probably going to come on with Paul for part 2 of this to talk about
Absolutely.
the legal side of it.
Yeah. Sorry, where was I?
So he'd invested in your dad's business.
Yeah, invested in my dad's business. I don't know what the deal was or anything like that, or how much it was. I think I saw a figure for it was £3,000 or £4,000 in the book. Don't quote me on that because I can't quite remember. It was so long ago.
That was a lot of money to your family back then, wasn't it?
Yeah. It allowed my dad to be able to rent a studio in Torquay, which is about 40 miles away from Plymouth. Huge tourist area, and buy all his equipment, his cameras and stuff like that. And the photography business is doing really well. Like, Dad didn't seem to be home much, so I presumed it was doing really well. And then
do you think 2 of the reasons he did it was obviously to get him in debt to him, so that he had more power over him, but do you think he picked Torquay because it would keep him away from you, to separate you guys?
I don't know.
I mean, when he was obviously investing in your dad, did that mean he was visiting the house more regularly?
Yeah.
And your dad wouldn't be there, would he, because he'd be in Torquay?
Dad had approached him at that time about the scout group. It was coming up summertime, and the tents that we were given when Dad and his friends first set up the scout troop were old and tatty and torn and weren't any use anymore. So Dad asked Bill that if he could have a lot of stock from the shop, and they would do like a tabletop sale in the church hall where we had the scouts, and all the scouts helped out. We had a big day at the church. It was all the church congregation were invited, and it was advertised, and that it was a tabletop sale of like all pound shop products, and they made enough money to buy 5 or 6 big canvas 4-man tents for the scout troop, so we were all able to start going camping then. And that's when the next phase of Gold's abuse started, in the form of procuring the scouts for sex. And he went through scout troop like a wildfire.
Did any of you discuss what was going on with each other at this point?
No,
No.
too scared.
Nobody's parents picked up on it.
No. I remember my dad asked me, I remember him asking me one time, 'cause apparently it was common knowledge that Gold was a convicted paedophile.
Oh, was it already?
Yeah, and so nobody understands how come everybody else knew about it and knew that he had all these boys working for him and taking him away on trips and stuff like that. Nobody did anything about it. Nobody questioned it.
Because the police didn't even have a unit to investigate those crimes at this point in time, did they?
No.
That came later, didn't it?
That's right.
Being so high up in power, like Jimmy Savile was.
Yeah. Well, during the grooming process, he would regularly tell me that he had police officers that were paid by him, and if anybody made any complaint of any type against him, he would know about it straight away, and he would know exactly what they said and everything, and there would be repercussions for that.
Freemason.
He told me that if ever I made a statement to the police, that I would be walking along the pavement with my mother, and a lorry would mount the pavement and mow us both down.
You were terrified at that point.
Yeah. I know other victims. Some. One was walking along the road with a car pulled up beside him with electric windows. The electric window came down, a sawn-off shotgun was pointed at him. Told him to keep his fucking trap shut.
Why did they threaten that boy in particular?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Perhaps he was on the verge of saying something.
Yeah.
He must have sensed that.
A couple tried and nothing came of it.
No? Did anything happen to them?
It's like God always used to say, who would believe a young lad over a respected millionaire businessman? God would set his boys up. In my instance, I went to, on one occasion, this is when all the blackmail started with Gold and getting me to procure my friends and other scouts. We went to a shop in Weymouth, which he just opened. We had to flash it up with the stock. There was 4 of us boys that went up to do that, and it was an overnighter. 3 of us stayed in the shop, just on the floor with blankets, and 1 was taken away by Gold to the hotel for him to have his wicked way with him overnight. Well, just before Gold left, I was making my bed by these counters, drawers in them, like stock drawer, like card displays and stuff. And he took out this big money bag, took the money out, and he's gone through it, counting like that, and he's looked over at me like that. And just put the money in the money bag, put it in this drawer, and closed the drawer. Give us 20 quid each to go to the shop and get some food and stuff, and said, right, behave yourselves. No going out the front door downstairs, climb out the scaffold at the front of the building and drop down and come back in the window the same way. So when that look he gave me when he looked at me when he was counting that money, it's almost as if he was saying, look at all this money, I'm putting it in this drawer. When I reflect back on it, he setting me up that day. He was. About 2 o'clock in the morning, we basically shared a bottle of cider. We got someone to buy us a bottle of cider, and we were half cut and merry. Everyone's fallen asleep. I woke up dying to go for a pee in the middle of the night. So as I walked past the counter, which was all lit up, I remembered the money bag. I don't know what came over me. I opened it up, took it out, and there must have a few £1,000 there in 20s and all sorts of denominations. Stupidly, I took some off. I took about 200 quid, and I stuffed it down my pants, put it all back as it was, thinking there's that much money there, you won't even notice it. Honestly, I don't know why I did it. I wasn't a thief or anything, Anyway, the next morning, Gold came back, saw him take the money bag out. He didn't bother counting it or anything like that, put it in his bag, and we all drove back to Plymouth. And I thought to myself, I've got away with it. Anyway, that weekend I had to work in the city centre, and as per normal, I'd go to the warehouse for Gold to give me a lift home after. But this time I got there, everything was different. There's no one else in the warehouse. Gold was on his own, and he was angry. He basically called me all names under the sun, that he knew I'd took the money. I counted it was about 200 quid, he wanted it back. I said, I can give it to you back, so I haven't even spent any of it. I don't even know why I stole it. He said, I'm going to see your father, and I'm also phoning the police. Obviously, at a point I was terrified, because where my dad was, we haven't talked about that, like, you know, he used to beat me with a cane called Stanley. I mean, beats me with it. Purple and blue oaks across my ass. So I didn't want him to tell my dad, and he knew this. He talked about at length of my relationship with my dad, how I didn't get on with him and all this. And I talked at length about what my dad used to do to me, how he used to beat me. Bill offered to have him stop doing that by whatever means, but I wouldn't let him get involved. I didn't want that. I loved my dad regardless of, you know, the way he treated me with the beatings and stuff. Anyway, then he dropped the bombshell. I want you to get your friends, ask them to come here and work for me. Ask them if they want to have some extra money, giving me a wank. I was like, fucking hell. Didn't know what to do. I honestly didn't know what to do. I had a choice. Either the police and that involved for me stealing the money and my dad, or I just did what he said. So I just did what he said. All in all, over the 4 years, 17 boys. 17 boys. Well, I thought they were just going and getting jobs with him and he would procure them in the same way he did me. Apparently not so. I didn't know too many years later he didn't approach it the way he did me. He would get them in there. Basically they were going to give him a wank for a tenner and he would rape them.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that came out later on, did it?
Yeah, it came out later on.
Why do you think he treated you differently?
I don't know. It's one of the unanswered questions, one of the things that's always at the back of my mind. Why me? Is it because I think he knew I didn't have a relationship with my father and that? I don't know. But he specifically preyed on boys who came from disadvantaged backgrounds, who didn't have loving, nurturing relationships with their parents.
Like care home kids and stuff.
Yeah. There was quite a few of the lads who came from care homes who he abused.